All right, hello, this is Allison Hatch, and I will be now creating my heuristic evaluation video for my final project for information architecture. So hello, this is my presentation regarding the Denver Air Quality Monitoring Project, which I have fully designed a website for using the tenets of information architecture. So first things first, we'll be going over what is information architecture? At its core, information architecture is a practice to ensure that users can find information and complete tasks in a efficient and predictable way. Information is organized in a way that's designed that the user can use it the most effectively, and there is usually a consistent structure and labeling, particularly to websites. If information architecture is not considered within the creation and development of a website, it can prove difficult primarily because content will not be accessible. Content is the core of any information sharing platform such as a website. So if the content is not available or accessible, the point of a website is totally moot. Bad information architecture can be confusing and or misleading in that information will not be where a user will predict it to be. It can provide the wrong information to a user, and particularly in contexts such as this project, the Denver Air Quality Project, it can actually be detrimental to individuals' health, which can be very bad. Also, bad information architecture can cost developers and companies time and money, and also users their time and money as well. So that is why we make sure that information architecture is considered within the creation of a website as well as development and maintenance. So for this project, we did several different types of research to figure out exactly what a user would need out of a site such as this one. This project was slightly different than those of my classmates since that I did not have a website to base it off of. The site is currently in development, and there is no basis for it yet. But this project will provide something for the developers of the site to step off of. So we did a little bit of user research in the realm of usability testing and user personas. Usability testing was important because we wanted to test the limits of other similar sites, such as the EPA AirNow site, and see what their issues are and how to get around them. We also had a little trouble with narrowing down the target audience of this site. Initially, the target audience was stated to be everybody, but that's very broad and very difficult to develop for. So we created a couple user personas that I'll go over in a second that narrow down certain types of people who may use this site. Additionally, we took some steps to do some site mapping of similar sites, for example, the EPA site. That was an interesting exercise to see how that site was designed and see where the information was stored, how it was structured, what the labeling schema was like. And then the final step was to create a wireframe of the potential site for use in future development and also to show the results of this user research. So as far as the target audience goes, narrowing it down from everybody to some certain categories to make it easier to understand. We have students, high school, undergraduate, graduate. They're all considered. One of the sensors for this project is located at South High School here in Denver, and that is important because having the sensor at a high school site could make it an interesting collaboration between this project and the high school, particularly for early earth sciences classes or biology classes where they may want to study air quality. Having these sensors directly from their school would be interesting, and students may use them for assignments. Additionally, undergraduate and graduate students may need this data for research purposes or for other general assignments. Additionally, parents may be interested in this information, particularly of the high school students, in regards to activities such as sports or other extracurriculars that involve children or teenagers, young adults being outside. Air quality can impact athletic performance. It can be difficult for individuals who have medical issues such as asthma, and having this information readily available would be important to people such as this. Additionally, community members may be interested in air quality for much the same reasons in regards to personal health. Additionally, academic researchers may be interested in this site. We have a few different features that are specifically geared toward academic researchers so that the raw data is available, as well as it being in an easier to read, easier to understand format for the non-scientist user. And here we have a couple example personas of individuals who may wish to use this resource. The first one is Elizabeth. She's a high school student at South. She's 14 years old, runs cross country. She uses the site mostly to decide whether or not to take her inhaler before going to practice and for completing assignments for her earth sciences class. The second persona we have, based loosely off my grandfather, is Edgar Books. He is a citizen scientist and a retiree. He makes sure to check the site on a regular basis before going on a walk to determine whether or not the air quality would be detrimental to his health. He also enjoys learning more about the science behind air quality, so we have a section on the site that would provide more information for an individual such as this one. So this is the site map that we did of the EPA AirNow site. As you can see from this just small excerpt, information was not very well organized. It's in lots of different categories. They're not very specific. Information was hard to find. I conducted a usability test on this site using a 20-year-old college student who was asked several questions about where to find information on the site, how they would go about finding information. And they had a lot of difficulty finding particular information. It took several minutes for each question. And a couple of the questions he was unable to answer in the end because the information was not well labeled and well marked. So this information was good in developing what we'll look at next, the wireframes, to make sure that none of the mistakes from that site came to this site. So this little image here is just the front page of the site, but we'll be going further into the wireframes here now. So this is the wireframe. It is as functional as it could be. It's fairly bare bones as far as aesthetics go, but the functionality should be there. On the main site, we have this large global header that will be present on every single page of the site with links to the proper pages for the 4 essential functions of this site. The home, which holds the current readings, which we determined was the highest value information for the site for every user. We have a Learn More tab, which we'll go into in a second, that has information on air quality in general, a data archive to hold previous readings, and more information about the project. So here on the home page, we have the readings from the 3 sensors, which are now in all different locations. At the beginning of the project, they were all located at South High School, but now they're in different places. So this would be a place to hide them. This area could also be replaced with an interactive map for each sensor, showing their relative location to each other. We have a text block that explains the readings and whether or not they're good or not. Air quality can be difficult to understand for non-scientists as it's very technical. There are very particular terms that are not widely understood as far as particulate matter in the air, and this section functions largely to interpret those. We also have a link to the Learn More page for those who wish to know more. Also, by displaying the information graphically by using a color scale, it can make it very easy for users to determine whether or not the air quality is good enough to go outside just by looking briefly at the home page. We also have a section for a chart for recent readings that follow an hourly scheme, and we'll have multiple lines to to show the different sensors. We also have a link to the data archive down here where it says more readings. Going back to the top and over to the Learn More tab, here we have several tabbed pages for more information. This first page is for other air quality monitors such as EPA Air Now and other local projects that may follow a similar path in that they wish to display current readings or historical readings of air quality. We have a tab for what is air quality, including information from the Denver Department of Public Health and Environment on the impact of air quality and how to interpret the readings more deeply. We have a tab for related issues, which includes information on wildfire and also could include information on asthma and its impacts in regards to air quality, as well as information for commuters about whether or not their cars impact the air quality very much at all. We have a tab specifically for kids. It's not working right now, but that tab would also hold information for that is targeted specifically at a child audience, specifically because one of the sensors will now be placed at an elementary school. This way, the information will be accessible to members of that community as well. And then finally, we have a tab for partners, including the University of Denver, which is hosting this project, as well as other potential scientific organizations or groups that would be interesting for users to look into. So over at the data archive, this was an essential function as determined by the clients, as where we will hold more readings, which will come in here. This is an iframe linked to a Google chart that holds all of the readings. These are older readings, just as an example. But we also would like the capacity for a search function up here to limit the readings by date, time, sensor ID number, humidity, or other factors, potentially to sort it for both researchers and casual users. We also have the option to download the data as a .csv file or open it in a new window if a user wishes to see it in a larger format. Finally, the About the Project page includes information about what the project is, how it started, as well as short bios on the researchers and links to their professional pages. Down here, we also have acknowledgement of the University of Denver's PROF program, which provides the funding for this project. So as a whole, this is a very minimalistic project. There's not much clutter on this site. There's very limited essential content. The essential content is pretty much just the readings. That's the most important thing to include. Everything else is extra on top of that. In discussing with the clients recently, this section was changed to include the 3 separate sensors, also potentially the option for a map there, as well as having a section in the Learn More specifically for kids, and the related issues being more than just wildfires. So ultimately, I believe that this site will be very usable for end users because it is very simple. Everything is very well labeled, and there is a consistent structure throughout the site. And I hope and I believe that the clients were very happy with this final project. So thank you very much. And I hope this project has fulfilled all expectations. Thank you.